All right, hello everybody. How's everybody doing today? I hope everybody's doing well. I'm flying a little solo on this one. Sorry about the bang, everybody there. I just dropped my camera. I'm so sorry. I hope everyone's having a wonderful time. Everybody's doing the best they can in this situation right now. Just letting everybody know I'm flying a little solo on this one. My brother is not here with me. And this is also, I apologize, my second time recording this review. The first time I tried recording it, apparently it didn't bother recording, which was fun. It was very fun sitting there for like 45 minutes and realizing something glitched and it stopped, and for whatever reason you didn't get what you wanted to get, which sucks. Anywho, we're hoping for a better round two. Hopefully this picks up. So jumping into it, James Gunn's Suicide Squad is amazing. I honestly give it 4.5 out of 5. It is a fantastic film. I went opening night with my wife and a few of our friends. We enjoyed it quite a lot. So much so that my wife and I went back on Sunday night, 2 days later, and had a little date night between her and I, and watched it again. And then about a week later, we were with her parents, my in-laws, and they hadn't seen it yet, and they saw the previews and they wanted to see it. And so we took them out. We treated them for a night out, just the four of us, and that was our third time seeing this in theaters. In Canada, sadly, we do not have HBO Max. So the only place you can catch this is in theaters. My wife and I are fully vaccinated, so we felt comfortable going out. I understand to those who don't, and that is a choice, and I don't judge you one way or another on it. You do you, and you do what you need to do. But my wife and I felt comfortable. We felt comfortable seeing it 3 times in public. That being said, yeah, it's an awesome film. It is a loose sequel, at best, to the first film. Let's see. It's okay. People are calling it a reboot. It's not a reboot. It's more of a refresh at best. That's the best the term you can use it for, because it is a loose sequel. It is a second installment in a franchise that continues on with some of the same characters and some of the same actors in said roles. Such as, Margot Robbie is back, or Robbie, however you want to pronounce her name, is back as Harley Quinn. Jai Courtney comes back as Captain Boomerang. Viola Davis is back as Amanda Waller, and the actor's name I'm currently blanking on, who played Rick Flag, is back as Rick Flag. And this is funny because during the first go around to me recording this, I honestly couldn't remember his name then. But I was talking to a friend about this film yesterday, and I 100% remembered the actor's name because I mentioned it a couple times. And you could have thought, well, if this is your second time recording this, couldn't you have just Googled his name? And yes, I could have. And actually, you know what? I'm going to do that right now because that's a very good suggestion. All right, go to Google, type in The Suicide Squad, and scroll through cast, and let's see, where are we? Boom. No, you're not Nathan Fillion. You gotta be kidding me, Google. You're not gonna put Joel Kinnaman, is it? There we go. Google still actually hasn't told me. I'm just slightly remembering because I went to the Google cast list and they show 15 different people and none of them are Rick Flag. So I'm going to just type in Rick Flag. And Joel Kinnaman. Okay, so I remembered the last minute. Good job. And I wonder the reason why he's not listed in the cast list is because of that stuff he was going through recently in the public. That Google's like, yeah, let's just remove his name off the Google cast list. So Nobody can see him. And I apologize if you guys hear a bark or a whine, because my little doggy is desperate for attention right now and she wants me. Although, you know, she's already had a walk. I've already played with her. I've already snuggled with her. She is very... Oh, there she goes. She is very needy and very attention seeking. And when you take her attention off of her and put it on somebody else or anything else, she gets jealous. You know, I'm going to say kid, like, wait until we actually have a kid. And she is just going to go ape nuts. Like, she's not going to be able to deal with that not being the center of attention. Anywho, getting off my dog rant. Okay, sweetie, come up here. Just come up. Come on. Come here. Come sit on Daddy's lap while I do this review. Alright? Not in my face, sweetie. Alright. Sorry, guys. I should just cut and start over again, but this seems to be recording right now, and after the last go-around disaster, I don't want to stop it. So yeah, as I said, it's a 4.5 out of 5. I really enjoyed the film quite a bit. It was awesome. And getting into the newer characters in the film, Idris Elba as Bloodsport and John Cena as Peacemaker are both fantastic in their roles. John Cena is not the strongest actor, that is for sure. But he's not a bad actor either. Like, he can do a few roles, but those roles he can do them really well. Yes, you don't get a lot of depth and range right now with him, but who knows, in time that can change. But as I said, the roles he can play, he plays them well. And he does an amazing job as Peacemaker. Like, the guy's not going to be winning any Oscars anytime soon, but he's doing a fabulous job in the role he was given. And Idris Elba is amazing. He crushes it as the lead in this film. I know a lot of people are going to be comparing him to Will Smith and saying, you know, he's not Will Smith. He doesn't do a Will Smith kind of job. But you know what? That doesn't matter. He's a very different type of actor. Brings a very different kind of energy to the film. But he crushes at the lead. He's amazing. And I feel that those two for sure carry this film. Idris Elba and John Cena carry this film. And and Sylvester Stallone voicing King Shark is amazing. Like, he was a perfect casting choice. He almost steals the show whenever he's on screen. Margot Robbie does a fine job as Harley Quinn. I honestly think this is the best incarnation I've seen of her as Harley Quinn in a DC film so far. I can't complain. Because I feel like James Gunn is someone who understands that character and knows how to get a really great performance out of Margot Robbie in that character. But I'll be brutally honest, I haven't thoroughly enjoyed her portrayal as Harley Quinn 100% thus far. I felt in the first Suicide Squad film, she shouldn't have been so prominent in that film. I feel like it should have focused far more on Deadshot. I feel that Joker should have been the main villain of the first film, and she should have had a strong secondary supporting role in that film. She should have been the lead female character, but it should have been more Deadshot's movie. I feel, and part of the reason why I feel that too is because I feel like at the end of the day, her character just wasn't written well, and that's not on her, that's on David Ayer and company. They should have done a better job with her character. And truth be told, it was her first time playing the character, so she was truly trying to find the voice for her character and find the footing for her character. And I feel because of those two things, it wasn't the best go around for her. But that being said, I enjoyed her in the first Suicide Squad film more than Birds of Prey. Birds of Prey has definitely gotten a lot of mixed audience reviews, and I'm going to say even mixed reviews from the critics. If you go look at the Rotten Tomatoes score, it's only a 70-something. It's not like a high 80 or 90s. Everybody tried their best to support that film in the industry because, you know, it was a female-led film, a female-written film, film directed by a female director. They were trying to praise it for all it was, but at the end of the day, it just wasn't a solid outing, and everybody knew that. And it did horribly financially at the box office. It was a box office bomb. And because of that, like, it really left a bad taste in people's mouths with the character of Harley Quinn. And that had a very obnoxious, arrogant title that it just annoyed the hell out of everybody. It should have just been simply titled Harley Quinn and the Birds of Prey instead of, what was it, Birds of Prey and then Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn. It's like, you just tone it down a bit. We know you don't have to be so obnoxious with your title. And even Warner Brothers agreed because people got confused. They didn't know what the film was. They thought Harley Quinn and Birds of Prey were two different films. Warner Brothers had to change the name in the marketing a week after release. If you notice, it was sometimes just referred to as Harley Quinn, Birds of Prey, or Birds of Prey and Harley Quinn. Some theaters were just listing it as Birds of Prey. Others were simply just officially stating it was just called Harley Quinn. And it just caused so much confusion. It was hilarious, and it was hilarious to see how Warner Brothers dealt with it. That being said, though, you gotta kind of talk about the box office on this thing. And the box office in the Suicide Squad isn't great. Why isn't it great? Well, let's be honest. They released it during a time they shouldn't have. The numbers weren't there. The tracking was showing the numbers weren't going to be there. Although things are opening up, things are getting better, people are more willing to go out to the theater, it's still not where it needs to be for a major blockbuster film like this. That being said, they should have delayed this till March of next year, but they didn't. They chose to release it now. So, they made their bet and they lied in it. And also, too, they stupidly released it for free on HBO Max simultaneously at the same time as they're releasing in theaters. And let's face it, in a time like this where people are going to be cautious and scared and maybe even, strapped financially, if you can watch it for free at home on a service you're already subscribing to, and you don't have to spend any extra money to go see this elsewhere, and you don't have to take the risk of going out when you're not feeling safe enough to, of course you're going to stay home and watch this on your TV. Anybody would. Anybody in the right mind would. That being said, I'll be honest with you, if I had HBO Max in Canada, I would have saw opening night, and then I would have just watched it a bunch more times on HBO Max. I probably wouldn't have gone back a second or third time to see it like I did. And that's another thing. Having an HBO Max, even for those people who went out that initial time to see it in theaters, aren't going for repeat viewings, so like repeat showings. And they're not bringing their friends along who they're recommending it to. You know what they're doing? They're recommending it to their friends, and their friends are sitting down watching it on HBO Max. That's exactly what's happening. So Warner Brothers, ended up shooting themselves in their own foot. They made their own bed and they lied in it. They created the situation. The financial failings of the Suicide Squad is fully on Warner Brothers and nobody else. It's not on James Gunn. It's not on the film itself. It's not on the marketing department. It's on Warner Brothers for releasing it now and how they released it. It is what it is. And everybody's making their charts about why it didn't do so well. How could they avoid this? You know how they could have avoided this? By delaying it till March of next year and releasing it only in theaters. And it would have had a far better return on revenue. It would have had a bigger opening weekend. It would have made more money. It's the obvious logical choice they should have done, and they didn't. They chose not to delay this, and they chose to release it in theaters and on HBO Max at the same time. And they also didn't charge a premium fee like Disney Plus charges for their films. They had it for free to try to get more people to subscribe to HBO Max. And I'm sure they got some subscriptions out of it, sure. But enough to warrant the release like they did? Probably not. So its financial failings are 100% on Warner Brothers, and Warner Brothers has to live with that. But apparently they're smart enough to see that they have a great film in their hands, and they want James Gunn back. And they're already having discussions with James Gunn about returning to do another DC film, which will be fantastic. I would love to see him do Gotham City Sirens or Justice League 2, like the suggestions and the rumors are stating that he's in talks for. He would be a perfect fit for Gotham City Sirens. And I know people are a little anxious with seeing how his take on Justice League would be if he ends up doing that, but you know what? At this point, I kind of just want to see it. if he does Justice League 2, I want to see what he would do with Justice League 2. I feel he's a great director. He's done some fabulous work in the past. He is a very versatile director. A lot of people are only looking at the Suicide Squad and the Guardians of the Galaxy films and judging what he would do the Justice League film based on that, but he could do so much more as a director. And I'm sure Justice League would have a very different flavor than either Suicide Squad or Guardians would. There might be a little bit of the James Gunn-ness in it because he has a certain style and tone he likes to bring to his films. But then, as I said, he's directed other films that are completely different from the Guardian films or Suicide Squad. So I'd be willing to give it a chance. And at this point, if I can see someone like that doing a Justice League movie, especially after the debacle they had with the previous incarnation, I'd be more than willing to give it a shot. That being said, yeah, I would recommend anybody who can safely see this now, go and see it. If you can't, you know what, it's going to be on premium video on demand for rental, and soon after that for physical and digital purchases or rentals on, Blu-ray and 4K. And as soon as this is available to pre-order for 4K, I'm doing that because this is an amazing film. And I am very much looking forward to the Peacemaker show that they're spinning out of this. John Cena, as I said, crushed it. He did an amazing job. He was fantastic in this film. I can't wait to see him continue the Peacemaker role. I'm really excited for the show. It's only 8 episodes, they're saying, but James Gunn was fully involved with it. He was an executive producer. He was a co-creator for the show. He co-wrote the story Bible for the first season. He wrote and directed at least half of the show himself, and he stayed in Toronto for the majority of production of the show. So it's very much going to have his fingerprint all over it. So I can't wait to see what they did episodes. And apparently it already has a green light for season 2. So as long as the viewership numbers are there, season 2 will happen. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. I don't know if they're going to do a direct Suicide Squad sequel anytime soon. It will be because this film did not perform financially well. That will probably delay a Suicide Squad 3, which sucks. However, we may eventually, in a few years down the road, see maybe an HBO Max original Suicide Squad 3 for a film. Because the Warner Brothers seems to be doing that a lot right now. Producing, HBO Max original films that are in the DCU that are releasing exclusively in HBO Max, which they only have to spend like 50 to 90 million on, and not have to spend like a gigantic, huge budget on to make, which is fine. Maybe that's how we might get a Suicide Squad 3. It might be a smaller, cheaper film that they only spend like 90 million on. Obviously, I think Peacemaker would be an obvious choice. They would probably get back for that. Maybe even John Cena's character would be leading the team, like he's the Peacemaker character is currently leading the Suicide Squad team in the comics right now. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, I would love to see more James Gunn at DC, and I kind of want to see where these characters go after this film. I don't want to get into too many spoilers for this film and try to keep this review as spoiler-free as I can, because I recommend people going and seeing it. It is a great film. That being said, like I was saying earlier, it is a loose sequel in a sense. But you don't have to see the first Suicide Squad film to get this one at all. You can just go see this one as it is, for itself, by itself. You don't also have to enjoy the first film to enjoy this one. I am someone who didn't enjoy the first film, who thoroughly loved this film. And, it is what it is. Like, sometimes, you can have a nice refresh with a new creative team, and they can take something that wasn't working and, hit it out of the park like they did with this film. So yeah, as I said, for the people who did enjoy the first film, I said give this one a chance. It's very different. And for those who loved the first film, I've talked to a couple of people I know who actually enjoyed the first film, who also enjoyed this film. They say it's very different in tone and flavor, but it's still a good film. So yeah, and as I said, I'm definitely someone who was in the camp who didn't enjoy the first film, who thoroughly enjoyed the second film. But I will 100% say, if you haven't seen the first film and you don't want to check the first film out, that is 100% fine, because you don't really need to have seen the first film to see this one or to get this one. It is designed, as I said, as a very loose sequel. It is like a second installment, but it's not like a direct sequel or continuation like some other films are. It just brings back a few characters from the first film and goes in its very own different direction, for sure, almost from the get-go. Like, it is, like, after watching the first 10 minutes, you fully understand that this is going to be a very different film than the first one, for sure. And there's a lot of great small parts and cameos and bit parts in this film. I don't want to give too much away, but it's well done. And there's some James Gunn regulars who come back for some small roles in this one. Some people he's worked with in the Guardian film, some people he's worked with in his previous films and television series he's done in the past. It's nice seeing Nathan Fillion. Who was it? Michael Rooker, I believe. Yeah, was in this as well. And it's just great to see them back. David Duchamel as Polka Dot Man is fantastic. I never thought I would see a live-action Polka Dot Man in a live-action film, but I did, and it was well done. It was well written, well acted, well directed, and yeah, it was fun, and I wouldn't mind seeing, James Gunn or somebody of the quality of James Gunn taking risks on more D&E list characters than people have in the past. But then again, you kind of need someone like James Gunn who can do those kind of characters well. Because as I said, the first Suicide Squad film felt like it was trying to rip off Guardians. But that was the studio, not the director, because David Ayers' original director's cut is very different from what we've seen. And you know what? At this point, I do want to see David Ayers' cut. Based on everything that's leaked out in the past few months about it, I'm really intrigued to see it. Will it make it a good film? I don't know. Because honestly, if you talked to me before Justice League came out, I'm like my opinion was, I don't know how much different Zack Snyder's version of Justice League could be. It's the same story. But that being said, at the end of the day, I was pleasantly surprised. I am 100% willing to admit I was wrong. Zack Snyder's director's cut of Justice League was actually a good film, whereas the theatrical film was not, and it was all an execution. And the difference is, the theatrical film is two people. It's three visions. It's Zack Snyder's vision, Joss Whedon's vision, and the studio's vision being hobbled together. With multiple different incarnations of the film. You had all the original stuff shot by Zack Snyder. Then you had footage from the two different rounds of reshoots they did in that film, all edited and cobbled together in a gigantic Frankenstein nightmare of a film. It is just awful on so many levels. But yeah, with Zack Snyder's director's cut, it was the execution. You had one man's vision, and you had one man's vision executed well. And I'm not saying, I'm not saying Joss couldn't have done that, because he showed with the Avengers films over in Marvel he could, but the problem is Joss wasn't coming in from the ground up. If Joss came in from the ground up, did a film, I'm sure it would have been fantastic. It would have been its own thing. But the problem is you're coming in and asking somebody to rewrite and refilm something that's already been written and filmed, and then hobble together like a Frankenstein cut of the different footage and different edits and different visions and different perspectives, and try to release that film. And that film is just going to be a mess, and it was. There was nothing Joss could have really done other than what he did do. Then again, and then I'm not talking about his on-set behavior or what's being said, because that's an entirely different story. But I'm just talking about the film itself and the work he put into that film. There's not much he could have really done to save that film. Or at least at least give Warner Brothers the film that they wanted. Because as we've seen, they should have just released Zack Snyder's director's cut from the get-go, because it was a far better film and a far better executed film. The problem is Warner Brothers just didn't have faith in Zack's vision at the time, so that's why they did what they did. And they were wrong. And the problem is, too, I know why Warner Brothers partially doesn't want to release the David Ayer cut of Suicide Squad, because they don't want people seeing that and once again, you screwed up, you're wrong. And you should just let David Ayer do his film the way he wanted to do and release it as is, because that would probably end up being the better film. And from what's been leaked about it and shown about it, it probably will be better than the director's cut, the theatrical cut, or the so-called extended cut that they released. It will probably be the better of the three versions. That being said, I don't know if it'll make it a good film, but from what I've already seen, it probably will be a better film than what we initially saw in 2016. But it is what it is, right? Like, you can't predict these things, but you can at least be honest and say, yeah, we didn't believe in our director, we screwed up. Here's what they initially wanted to do. So have a go at it, because it's money for them. They could release it as another HBO Max exclusive to force people to sign up and watch it on the streaming service for several months before releasing a physical of it, like they did with Zack Snyder's Justice League. Because in the US and Canada, that released in, I want to say February and March. I'm a little foggy on when it initially premiered, but it's not coming out on 4K Blu-ray and Blu-ray until September. Although it did release a few months back in the UK and a few other spots around the world, but they waited to September to release it here. That's mainly because in the spots I feel they released early, HBO Max was on the thing, so at least got it so they can make some money in those territories. Whereas where they had HBO Max, they didn't release it because they wanted people subscribing to HBO Max. In Canada, even though we don't have HBO Max, we have the same distribution cycle as the US, so whenever 9 out of 10, usually whenever the US releases their stuff on 4K, Blu-ray, standard Blu-ray, and DVD, that's the exact same time Canada's getting it. So that's one of the reasons, even though Canada doesn't have HBO Max, we're not getting it until September. However, that being said, there's a streaming service in Canada called Crave that Warner Brothers has a stronger relationship with, and they did release the Zack Snyder director's cut on that at simultaneously the same time as the HBO Max release. So that's another reason why it's definitely not releasing early in Canada, because Crave wants you subscribing to Crave in Canada, and the US wants you to subscribe to HBO Max to watch it, which is kind of frustrating, because I'm like, well, if you're making these deals for those films, why don't you make the deals for the other HBO Max films they're doing? So Canadians can have the same luxury as the Americans do, but at the end of the day, it comes down to money and deals and what they're willing to pay. And Crave just wasn't willing to pay to have the exclusive windows for the HBO Max streaming of the Warner Brothers films for, like, say, Suicide Squad and whatever else was releases here to happen day and day as they're released in theaters. So it is what it is. But as I said, this film is great. I recommend you watching it. I recommend you going out and checking out the comics. John Ostrander's original Suicide Squad run is amazing. The DC Rebirth stuff is pretty solid. The newer stuff they release now I'm liking too. I'm going to be brutally honest, most of the new 52 incarnation of Suicide Squad is garbage. There's not much you can really do with that. Not all of it's garbage, but most of it's garbage. So if you're looking for stuff to skip, I would recommend the new 52 crap. But that being said, I would definitely check out a bunch of the comics. I would definitely recommend watching this film. Definitely recommend checking out the Peacemaker show that's coming. And you know what? It's got me excited for the upcoming WB games, Rocksteady games. Was it the Suicide Squad kills the Justice League or versus the Justice League or whatever it's called? But the upcoming Suicide Squad video game, I'm really looking forward to it. And it's got me amped to try and play it. Don't really play much video games these days anymore. Mainly because of Alright, sorry about that, guys. It chopped off there at the end, but like I was saying, I really don't play much video games these days because of work and family. But I'm really looking forward to getting into the new Suicide Squad video game. I'll try and give it a go. That being said, as I said before, I recommend this movie. Recommend you trying it out. It may not be for everyone, but you know, I at least say give it a viewing and judge for yourselves. That's honestly just the best way to do honestly anything these days. But yeah, hopefully we'll see a continuation of some of these characters in the future. I plan on having hopefully my next review out in a few days. I'm trying to get a bunch of stuff out. I apologize. Life kind of got in the way, and I was also on vacation a bit with my wife. And we did, we traveled a little bit within what we were able to do with travel and the restrictions we had with it. We didn't leave our province. That being said, we just mainly went and visited my wife's family up north. And we're in the Muskokas a bit, where we weren't around anyone but ourselves and our dog. Which was nice just to get away with everything that's going on. Getting ready to go back to work. We'll see how that goes. Yeah. So I will see everybody soon. Everyone have a good one and stay safe. Alright, talk to everybody later. Bye bye.